joining us wherever you are in the world. I am recording this from my apartment in Sandton. Sandton is a neighborhood in Johannesburg, which is a city in South Africa. So we welcome an international audience. Thank you. In this episode, an origin story, I am basically going to break down how I got into consulting, my background, how consulting fits into it, and how I found myself working for a top consulting firm. But it is going to be a two-part because there is a lot of detail and I don't want to skim over anything. So the first part will literally be from first year at varsity till finishing my honors, so 2012 to 2018. And then we go from 2019 when I started my master's to where I currently am now, fully in a consulting environment. So that's what I have in store for you guys over the two-part episode. But yeah, as for part one, let's dive in. Cool. So before I get into details, I actually realized I didn't put up any biography info in terms of where I'm from, my parents, my siblings. So just give a bit of tidbit because I actually didn't ask them for consent. So I can only say so much. Yeah, I will keep some info off air because I don't want to be confronted later on for name dropping, even the companies that I worked at, the companies that I work for. So any information that I miss out, please just refer to my LinkedIn page, Emmanuel Aduawuku, and you literally find my job history. I'm not responsible for you landing on my LinkedIn, so it's much better. I would be culpable. So Emmanuel Aduawuku, I was born in Zambia. My mom is Zambian. My dad is Ghanaian, hence the Ghanaian name. So I have a really strong tie with Southern Africa as well as West Africa, and yeah, it's quite a nice fusion, and it's quite a nice story to tell. In between that, my brother was born in Swaziland, and my parents now live in Gaborone, Botswana. So a lot of travel, moved around quite a bit when I was young, but they sort of settled there for the last 10 years, and yeah, that's when I then came to Pretoria to start varsity. So that was 2012. First year, came to do my chemical engineering degree at the University of Pretoria. So yeah, that's literally where I got started. That's where that was my first entrance into South Africa. So it's a 4-year degree from 2012 to 2015. Yep. It was pretty cool. How I got into Chem was not really like a great epiphany. I was good at chemistry in high school, so I was like, oh cool, let's do this. Initially, I had wanted to go study in America because my grandma lived in America at that time, so I hadn't seen her for a while, so I was like, oh my gosh, that would be so nice. Got a half scholarship, but that is still quite a lot, especially if you're going to multiply everything by 10, which was the exchange rates at that time. So yeah, my dad was like, just apply to the University of Pretoria, applied to a local university, and yeah, I was hacked. University of Pretoria was the only university I applied to. That's how hacked I was. I only applied to one course, chemical engineering, and my second option was civil engineering, I think. So yeah, quite interesting that I could have studied civil engineering. So I really liked the degree. It was really tough. Obviously having friends makes it easier. You get to share a lot, and you tap into the existing knowledge, learning the currency of the place as well, the social context, how things move. South Africa has 11 official languages, so it can be pretty daunting, trying to settle in. I only speak English and a bit of my dad's mother tongue, Tree, TWI, if you're curious enough. So yeah, English is like my main medium. Very fluent in it. Have have a professional like aptitude for it as well. So like I think in English as well. I write, speak, everything. But most people in SA are bilingual, so you have to like adjust in that way. So yeah, fast forward a bit to 2014. I came across this poster that said University of Pretoria Consulting Society. I was like, oh, this is actually cool. Read it. I was like, what is this? I don't know. Like, can I do this? It was like a competition to solve like business cases. And I was like, I didn't know what a business case was. I was like, this sounds like it's a lot. Sharp, so I leave it. Then a couple of months later, having a conversation with a friend of mine, he's telling me about like his dream is to work in consulting and the reason why he loves it, the problem solving. And I was like, dude, tell me more. So he told me about like the big three, the natural big three in like consulting slash strategy work. I'm not gonna mention names. So yeah, he told me about the big three, and like I just got like very curious, and my mate was actually like, "Bro, look, you could actually be good at this. Give it a shot." I was like, "Right, cool." I had a degree to finish, so it was not something that I entertained a lot. I was like, "Alright, cool. We'll see what's up." Sharp. Yeah. So that was like the first seed that was planted. Cool. Fast forward 2015 final year. It was rough. Final year was rough. Came out of it though. Graduated with a bunch of my friends, which was really good. Unfortunately, I didn't get a job out of graduating. That really like hurt me because it meant I had to go on a gap year, and like I was like not really pleased because I was like, how could I work so hard for so long and not progress into the natural next step? So took it really hard, but the nice thing was I was at home. My sister, born in 2013, she was like 2 years, two and a half, so I'd missed, the time that she was born. So I was like, perfect time to be at home. Let me go recharge. Let me go home. Something will happen, like something will happen because, you send application after application after application. And, you just need that one yes. But at the end of 2015, I didn't have it. So I went back home to the loving arms of my family. My brother was still at home at that time. Really close with my brother. So it was nice. My mom really missed me. I'm closer. I'm closer to my mom than my dad. So yeah, getting back into the fabric of being at home, 2016 was like a gap year, and I just had to like reframe my mind in terms of like waking up and not having anything to do, waking up and helping my mom with the house chores, babysitting. My brother's at school, my dad's also at work, so it's like the three of us most of the time, so we spend a lot of time together. And yeah, my mom's favorite pastime is to watch like soapies. She really really loves like South African soapies. So that's how I used to bond with her. Used to also watch her soapies and just make jokes and just laugh at her. And which is actually really cool because my mom sort of like has like entry level understanding of Zulu, because she learned through TV. She's self-taught in Setswana, which is one of the official languages in Botswana. So that was really cool. Yeah, I'm a dad when it comes to languages. Languages are not, they are literally like the most difficult thing I can think of doing. We'll change that soon. Anyways, back to the main track. So, still at home, firing out those applications, speaking to my friends, missing out on a lot. Like my friends were moving, a couple of them got a job, A couple of them were in final year now. Things were moving, and here I was like stagnated. Um, but I just focused on what I could do, which was send out the next application, send out the next application. Um, you know, so kept doing that until somewhere in like June, July, I got an opportunity to interview for an internship at an innovation consulting firm. I was like, oh, this is really cool. And one of the questions asks you about some war in Mexico. It was like it happened by the port, right? So it's a trick question because it's like it's such a mundane thing. Even Wikipedia doesn't have any information on it. So the trick is anybody who answers that question Googled it on Wikipedia. So the trick was they'll ask you again after the in-person interview what the war was about. And obviously, if you didn't do any research, then, they didn't like move forward with the application. So cool. Did the application, so I answered I don't know on that war. Then I went to Wikipedia and I was like, oh, in Mexico, 18, what. Can't remember too much of the detail. Then, poof, email. They're like, would like you to come do an in-person interview for a potentially 1 year training period. I was like, oh my gosh, this is dope. Finally, something, right? Tell my brother, he's like, bro, make the things happen. Tell my parents, this is what's happening in my life. Can I get some money to go back to Pretoria? I have an interview. And they were like, oh, where are you gonna stay? I was like, no, I still have friends in Pretoria, so that's like not even a thing. So cool. Do my research on the company, figure out what their work is, figure out who's gonna interview me. The CEO at the time is the one who interviewed. They're really like small. They were like between 10 and 15 people when I was interviewing in that period. So it was nice like figuring out where they started from, what their work is about, and just getting into like the innovation side of business. So during the interview went really well. Standard interview questions, and then they get into competencies like conflict, what are your strengths, what would you like to develop, what's your vision if you start working here, those type of things. And yeah, and in one of the questions I was like, I honestly just don't know what you guys do like exactly, but I'm willing to learn and be dedicated and devote the time. And they were like, all right, cool, we like that. Then they asked about like that whole war in Mexico, and I was like, yeah, I found out after I sent in the application. And they're like, okay, cool, you can give us a week, we'll get back to you. So went out with my friends, I felt the interview went well, so I was like, all right, cool. Went out, then left the weekend, went back home, waited for them to sort of like give me a confirmation. So yeah, got the job, and that was it. That was my way back into SA. So by July, I was working. It was supposed to be a year thing, but visa issues. So I only actually like was in Pretoria again for like 3-4 weeks. Then for the remaining next 3 months that I was with them, I was sort of like working from home. So my dad is an administrator at one of the local schools in Botswana. So I just used to go to his office. He would set me up with some space. They had a very good internet connection, and I used to work from there. So it was really nice working for like this company that's in another country, getting to know the people. And yeah, it was really good. It was really, really nice. Then by October, the contract ended, and they would like to continue with me, and I should let them know my plans in 2017. So things were obviously still shaky because I didn't have a way back, right? They couldn't continue with me because of like visa issues. So yeah, here I was looking at what I could do with my honors. Cambridge, really. So boom, apply for the honors. I already have a reputation in the department, so it wasn't like a big thing. So got the honors confirmation, got my study visa, which was like a big hurdle. And yeah, that was sort of like my way back into SA. So that was 2017, you know. I've like been on the back burner for like a year, and literally I was back with a vengeance. Like that was it. Like I was trying to do everything. Um, I reached out to the company again. They were like, yeah, welcome. Now that you're here, you know, we can offer you like a longer period of employment. So that was part-time because I was at school. So I had the part-time gig, then I had school. I was also a tutor. So it was a lot, and I had a booming social life. 2017, my gosh. Focus. Yeah, I was back. I was trying to do everything. I was trying to catch up. You know, I was trying to be with my friends, how much I'd missed, what I'd missed, and just reintegrating back into the fabric of a life that I'd left, you know, for a year. Then I came across that University of Pretoria Consulting Society poster again. And I was like, this could actually be cool. Then I started doing research into consulting, right? Because I worked at an innovation consulting firm. So a couple of things started becoming familiar to me, you know, minimum viable product, business case, and all of that business jargon. So I started doing research, usually took me to like, you know, those top consulting firms, started watching case studies on YouTube, started understanding like industry research and all of that stuff, right? Cool, sure. But I was just so busy. I couldn't find people to do it with me because you needed to be between 3 and 4 people, and I just didn't have the time. So I was like, alright, you know what? Okay, cool. I was unprepared. Let's see what happens next year. I put it in the calendar. So 2018, 1st of April, UPCS, University of Pretoria Consulting Society. I was determined to be ready this time, right? So yeah, 2017 goes by. The honors was tough. Didn't finish it in that year because I was doing it part-time. So yeah, nothing eventful for the rest of the year. 2018 comes, doing my honors, finishing my honors in that first semester. And yeah, 1st April, UPCS. So, you know, I started doing research, picking up on the case study stuff, getting materials, getting books, speaking to people at work, you know, because the one thing I admired is that, you know, the CEO, he did like a BSc physics, and he was the CEO of an innovation consultancy firm. I was like, whoa, that is so cool. And they always used to have conversations about like these big things, and I was like, how are people supposed to know that much? You know, like they talk about space and the Lagrange like principle, which is like a point in space that has something to do with the moon. Sorry, not an astrologist. I forgot that piece of information, but I was just so mesmerized at the depth of information and how they transform that information into, you know, their lives, their business. I was like, this sounds so cool. Boom, UPCS, all right. So cool, you know, back then in 2018, WhatsApp had started rolling out status updates. So they rolled out in 2016, yes, 2016. So 2018, put the post on my status. I was like, yo, is anyone interested? 10K cash prize. So that was like a big motivating factor. So yeah, my one very good mate, he was like, bro, let's do it. And a couple of other friends also were like, this sounds so cool. Like, what are you thinking? And then just like that, the consulting dream team was born. Dude, we were the dream team. Like, we crushed that competition. Anyways, so yeah, we set up like first meets. You know, we go to like the consulting debrief. They tell us what's going on, what the case is gonna be. And you know, this is like just exciting me, right? Because this is new. This is something that's out of my chemical engineering background, right? So I'm like, okay, cool. Let's do this. You know, the team was also motivated. We put in the time. I remember the first stage, we I think it was out of 50, it was marked out of 50, like the assignment, right? And we like cleared 44 out of 50 or something ridiculous like that, you know? And yeah, the organizers commended us. They were like, wow, this is actually brilliant. This is obviously after the competition, right? When we're having chats. So we make it to the finals with three other teams. You know, they gave us the case. It was a day. They give you the case, you have 24 hours to do it, you submit it, and then you present it on the Thursday. So they give us the case on Tuesday, give us the case on Wednesday, right? They prep us Monday, Tuesday. Wednesday, the case is released. By Thursday, you have to submit it, and Thursday evening, you're presenting. So got together with the team, had brainstorming sessions, had working sessions, deep into the night. There was a point where I had to like take some time off from work. The team couldn't make it, so I was just like, you know what, it's cool. I have time to devote. Let's see what we can do. And that's when I literally just sat with myself and immersed myself in the process, you know, like thinking about the numbers, thinking about what they're asking for, like what does the solution look like? How do you get into the solution? How do you build the solution? You know, qualitative, quantitative information. What's the industry? What's going on in the industry? And we literally like, I proposed ideas to the team, and because they were offline, you know, they were sort of like vetted. Okay, yes, no, alright, cool, whatever. Sure. Then we send the presentation. The day of the presentation comes, and we actually did really well. Our presentation skills were like still like, you know, needed work, but yeah, the presentation was just so good. And the judges even mentioned, they were like, wow, you guys put in a lot of work into it. And unanimously they decided that, you know, the consulting dream team should take it. So that was it, the validation, right? That was literally the validation that consulting could be a good thing to do. All right, cool. You know, we were talking about doing international competitions, because what had actually happened was the competition has like a national stage and then a global stage. So if we had made national, we would have gone to global, but there was no competition that year. So we sort of like took it up like on ourselves to be like, you know, can we find something, you know, let's compete internationally. What are we doing? And yeah, we entered a couple of like other competitions, which we also did quite well. One of them landed us in London, but that's a story for part 2 of an origin story. Yes, I want you back here. Cool, you know, so at this point, I'm just like, look, consulting is it. I was finished with my honors. I was waiting to start my master's, also in chem, because I was in SE on a study permit. So that was the main thing I'm supposed to be doing. So, but in the back of my head, I'm like, I was applying for jobs, consulting jobs specifically. I had literally given up on chem. And the industry was actually in a pretty bad space at that time. So here I am pushing the applications. Then one of like the top 3 consulting firms ever were like, we like you, come in, have an interview. We're having like training, come through for the training, and then we'll schedule an interview. Man's is excited. I'm like, what? Validation. This is it, right? And the YouTube videos that I used to prepare for the case studies, it was these guys. I was like, no ways. This is it. Alignment. Cool. You know, so I'm preparing, doing what I think I need to do, you know, doing what I can with the little knowledge that I have, right? Well, at that time, it was the knowledge that I had. I didn't know it was little. So, go for the training, you know, it was good. I'm holding my own, you know, they're telling us new things. I'm like, this is dope. interview comes. So it's two-part interview. So the first part is face-to-face. It's like a case study interview where someone interviews you, gets to, ask you those aptitude interview questions. And then they ask you like a case. They give you like a business case and you walk them through how you'd solution. Then the second part is competency, like an analytical and problem reasoning competency. 45 minutes, 43 minutes, and it's negative marking, right? So you can imagine the pressure. So cool. You can either start with one and finish with the other one. So I was interviewing, they were having a lot of interviews that day, basically. So I started with the case. So guy interviewing me was really cool. He was a doctor out of Australia, and he had been seconded to the Joburg office, telling me about his experiences, how he moved from pharmaceuticals to consulting. I was like, it's too cool. What? No ways. Kind of like me, from chemical engineering to consulting. I thought it was brilliant. The case went well. I didn't do like great. I didn't shoot the lights out, right? It was solid. Felt good. Then the analytical reasoning part of the interview came. No calculators, right? Well, let me not say no calculators, no scientific calculators. So they give you those Casio, those Casio accounting calculators, the one with just one line. That's the only thing they give you, and paper and like pen to scribble. 23 questions, fire questions. Those questions were hard. But what messed me up was the fact that there were 23 questions bucketed into like 6 subsets. So each question had like 6 questions attached to it, right? And each question built on the following answer. Yo, if you can't answer the first question, you're done. It's a done thing, right? Cool. Can't do question 1, sharp. I move on to the second set. Can't do it either. Move on to the third set. I'm just like, what is going on? Now I'm panicking now, right? Like sweating, well, not sweating, but like I'm shaking visibly, right? Like I'm shaking. I'm not hyperventilating yet, right? Because it was like 5-6 minutes in, so there's still time, there's still recovery, right? And if there's anything varsity teaches you, it's recovery. So I try to like breathe, I try to like pause, but the pressure just keeps on going up, right? Because I'm like, this is it. Like, I want to get into consulting. This is my only opportunity. This is it. I don't have any interview. What's going on? Like, focus, man. And then it just went downhill. Literally cracked. I was rereading questions. I wasn't processing anything. I was just sitting the calculator for no reason. And you're probably thinking, well, guess the things. Negative marking doesn't give you the confidence to guess. I forgot how the negative marking works, but it's like a correct answer is worth a quarter point, but a wrong answer is worth -1. And that's how they sort of like stop you from doing guesswork, because you guess, but if everything is wrong, like it's a 0, right? So now time is taken down, right? 36 minutes, 37 minutes, like now it's like 8 minutes left, 4 minutes left, 3 minutes, and yeah, I just closed the test. It was a computer-based test, just submitted, and I waited for them to come get me and they asked me how it went. I was like, yeah, see, I have not like felt incompetent on that level before. I was like, yeah, it didn't go well. They were trying to do the whole console thing. It's tough for everyone. You probably did better than you thought. You're probably trying to shoot the lights out. And I was like, yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I knew, deep down I knew. I didn't expect a call back. Obviously, they'll tell you if you're rejected, right? So they did send the rejection. But yeah, I was able to move on quickly because that was the same week as my graduation. Or was it the following week? So like I didn't have time to like process, right? I was on to the next thing. Um, but yeah, I was like visibly resigned. Like there was no hope. They sent me the rejection like at the end of the week. They were like I can ask them for feedback. I tried following up, but that didn't happen. And that's when it hit me that this is not going to be easy. It's not going to be a walk in the park. It's not going to be a I want to switch to consulting, so the world should give me a job in consulting. Um, I actually realized that I needed to put in a lot more work because I didn't have the foundations, right? Maybe it's easier if you started in commerce and they build that information, but I started engineering, technical, Excel spreadsheets, which is a part of it, but that business side, that explorative thinking is not something that's readily available in the engineering side. Um, so yeah, I had an epiphany that Emmanuel, bro, you want this? You have to work for it. You're gonna have to work for it, right? And that was literally the mindset that I used to close off 2018. So sort of like 2019, we're set, we're going, we're starting from scratch. Um, but yeah, 2018 is unfortunately the end of part one, and I will touch on 2019 in part two of an origin story and basically just talk about my method that birthed championship mode and how I finally was able to land a consulting job at a top consulting firm. So catch you when the next episode drops. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this one. It really went longer than I thought. Yo, wow. All right. Sometimes it's needed. Sometimes it's needed. But as usual, feedback is always welcome. Tell me what you think about my journey, if you can relate. But yeah, as usual, you can find me on Instagram as championship mode underscore. My personal page is I Live a Blended Life. On YouTube, I'm on YouTube as The Consulting Diaries, probably in the banner below, The Consulting Diaries. And on LinkedIn, you can find me on LinkedIn as Emmanuel Adu Awugu. And yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Catch you in the next when the next episode drops. Have a fantastic week. Send through those comments, those follows, those subscribes. I like every comment. I love every comment. Because I'm still earning your trust. But as usual, stay in championship mode.